Welcome back, baseball fans. And if you're not new here, you notice we do finally have a new intro where it's not Laz, it's now me, because I'm going to be here a lot more often than Laz is, I think. But regardless, welcome to This Week in Baseball, episode 2, technically like the third one, but episode 2 of season 3. So with me today, we've got Joe and Jonah. How are we doing today, gentlemen?
What's up? We're good.
Good.
All right, good to hear. And I'm your host, Diego here. And just like we've been doing, or that we were kind of starting this season, instead of the whole 7-inning stretch like we did last season, we're just gonna talk about baseball a little bit here, and just more traditional kind of podcasty kind of things. With that being said, a lot happened this last week, but we'll jump into it over the next hour or so. But as always, we will start with a standings update. So as of what is it? May 2nd? Yeah, it's May now.
Yeah.
May 2nd, as the recording of this video, in the AL East, the New York Yankees lead the division with a record of 16-6. The Minnesota Twins lead the AL Central with a record of 13-9. And the Los Angeles Angels lead the AL West with a record of 15-9. That is your American League leaders there. And jumping over to the National League, in the National League East, the New York Mets, with a record of 16-7, lead the East. In the NL Central, the Milwaukee Brewers lead with a record of 15-8. And in the NL West, it is the Los Angeles Dodgers with a record of 14-7. So yeah, standings. Any big surprises from any team so far from either of you guys, or do you think things are starting to shape up, or we think they're going to just sit?
I mean, my biggest one is the Angels. What we're seeing, like what we saw in April from the Angels, is what Angel fans have been saying the past 3 years of if our hitters are healthy, if we have starting pitching, we're going to be great. And I mean, the hitters are healthy, knock on wood. They have starting pitching. Lorenzen's been exciting. Syndergaard's been good. And it's like you're getting a glimpse of what the Angels could be.
Yeah. Yeah. The Angels are, at least so far, feels like they're finally reaching the potential that they have, or at least a bit. I don't want to overdo anything here. I still think the Mariners win that division, but that's just me. Jonah, anything?
I mean, of the teams that are surprising, I don't even think it's crazy to say that the Angels wouldn't be expected to be in first place. But like a lot of people still expected the Astros to be in first early in the season. I think that might be the only one that when we get to the end of the season at game 162 might be a bit different. Everything else kind of is the same. I know people had hesitations with the Twins with their pitching, but they're a surprisingly deep team. So not surprised to hear them back at the top. It's just more that the White Sox are struggling. That might be the surprise there. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I don't think there's any like true surprise. As I said, the Angels are a good baseball team, and maybe the only surprise is that the Astros aren't in first place right now.
Yeah, no, I get that. And the White Sox are struggling health-wise, I think more so. I don't know about more so than other teams, but they're definitely feeling the biggest hit from any team, I believe, because they sit with a record of 9-13 right now, and I don't think anyone really predicted them to have a record like that 3 weeks into the season here. So another thing I do want to bring up is the fact that the Cincinnati Reds have the same amount of wins than they did when we recorded this last week. They still have 3 wins. They have 3 wins. We talked about them last week. So
I just saw a clip of their owner on Twitter, and it was like before opening day, and he's like, "We're going to be competitive, and you're going to see it. Just have faith." And then it just cuts to them just being terrible.
Yeah, I saw there's a clip, I think it was today, of them dropping 3 consecutive pop-ups, and the last one landed in fair territory for a single.
It's just like, how are you so close with like such a good team? And it's like, now's a great time to just fire sale.
It's
business, I guess, but like that sucks.
We talked about that way too much last week.
Yeah. If you want to hear us talk about it,
we'll skip that.
Yeah.
Last week we went into it in depth. So
trying to make some sense of that fire sale, which we couldn't.
Yeah. Another thing I do kind of want to mention here, the Miami Marlins are 12-9, which some people were high. I was very high on the Marlins. I still am very high on the Marlins. But just being kind of proven right about it makes me feel really good because, like, they're a good team. They've got some solid, decent hitters. They've got phenomenal pitching. And so they're putting it together.
I don't like that I'm being proven right about it because it means that the Mets have less of a path to the NL East. But I really do think – I don't think it's going to be this year, but I think next year we might see the Marlins show up in full force and maybe even surprise everyone and finish in first in that division.
Yeah, I mean, they had the stud young pitchers last year, and it was just like, hey, can we buy some hitters and kind of put it all together, and they did.
And two of their best pitchers aren't even on their team right now, and Sixto Sanchez and Max Myers. So there's only up. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Up right now?
I don't think so.
I don't think. That's another arm right there.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they're able to maintain this, even though this may not be the year that they make the playoffs. They still may be a year away, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're able to maintain this like second, third place in the division record.
Jeter picked the wrong time to leave.
Yes.
I think the Marlins are going to be very good for a long time. That might just be me, but I think most people agree with that sentiment.
I hate to say it, but yeah.
I can get behind that.
Enough about the standings here, though.
Yeah.
Let's move on to some actual stuff that happened in baseball this week. We'll stick in Miami as we'll talk about Jazz Chisholm. Earlier this week, I don't remember what who was the umpire behind the play when it happened, nor do I care all that much. Because the umpires are trying to make the show all about them. This has been known a major issue in baseball over the last few years. I was telling Jazz Chisholm, get in the box. Come on, what are you doing? Just get in the box. It was a game against the Cardinals. And Jazz is basically like, chill out. I'm trying to, be a professional hitter here and actually be ready for a pitch and be competitive. And then after all that, just hits an absolute nuke out of into the bleachers. So I guess really the question is like, what do you guys think about that? Like about the way Jazz reacted, the way the umpires are kind of, the umpires are definitely an issue, have been for a while. Like, what do you guys feel about that whole situation?
I mean, I love bat flips in general. Like, I love all the theatrics that come with baseball. Of like, as long as it's respectful, like, I don't know, stare down the other dugout, just don't say anything, throw a bat as high as you want. And when you're like proving a point against someone else, or especially an umpire, when it's like, just like you said, trying to make it about themselves, like, it just makes it that much better. And it's almost like the Cardinals are kind of like, all right, yeah, you can kind of strut this one off because we know it's not about us, like, it's about the umpire. But I mean, I loved everything about it.
Jonah?
I agree. I think the underlying issue, though, is there seems to be a lack of consistency with like giving time, and I believe it was Buxton. I could be wrong, where he kind of had to like check swing and popped up, but he wasn't granted time when he thought he would, and it's becoming a bigger issue. And I know it's been around, so I think if there could be some consistency with either time for the hitters or time for the pitchers, because I know the pitchers don't always get the time that they're looking for, that could really fix it. But also, in addition to the bat flip, his Twitter interactions after that were absolutely incredible. He went on one of the best trolling sprees I've ever seen from a professional athlete. And it didn't even get out of hand to the point of like, we're talking about how bad it was and how bad of a look it is.
It was fantastic.
It was a fantastic thing that didn't get out of hand, and I wish we would get more of that. It was like perfection from Jazz when it came to
the timing stuff too. Like you said, like these pitchers are getting shafted just as bad as these hitters are. Like, Tucker Davidson went on a whole rant on Twitter of like how it's so hard now to pitch with these clocks and like it messes everything up. So it's like it's not just the hitters, like everyone, at least so far, like just hates the time.
Yeah, like I think they're trying to resolve an issue that only a few think are an issue. I don't, me personally, this is how I've always felt about this. If a baseball game lasts 4 hours, I couldn't care less. It means I get to watch 4 hours of my favorite team play baseball. But a lot of people are like, oh, it's bad for turning the game. It's like, yeah, because that extra 20 minutes is really what's going to drive those fans away.
What makes no sense is Manfred wants more runs and a short game. You can't have both.
The ball.
You can't have both.
And also, he's trying to put in rules that shorten the game. Last year, the average time of game went up. I don't know the stats for this year, but I don't believe it's going down. So, there's just no point into any of these like little rules that aren't actually speeding up the game.
It's a joke. You know how long an inning is going to take when you get 4 base hits on each side every inning, and you score more runs. It's going to take forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
But is that what you want?
Would you rather have a 12-minute full inning or with that's 0-0, or a 3-run inning both ways, making an exciting tight game with a lot of offense?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just
nobody's walking into baseball too. Like even young fans and be like, "What's this sport?" And I wonder how long it's going to take. Baseball takes forever.
Yeah,
it's not a surprise to anyone.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, it's like, I don't know. We'll see what ends up becoming of it. But yeah, kind of staying with, I guess, the timing thing. In the minors, I think it's been happening, but there's another case that went viral this week on Twitter, like TikTok, Instagram, all the social media platforms, of an automatic strike being called against a hitter to strike out or to end an inning, I believe. I think it was the bases loaded. I could be wrong about that. But it was a big spot, and then the inning ends because the batter doesn't get into the box with 9 seconds left on the pitch clock, so they get an automatic strike. Like, is that really what we want for the game? Like, if you have the bases loaded and you're not in the box ready with 9 seconds left on a clock that means nothing, like now you get a chance to miss this offense that you so desperately want. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, it proves nothing, and it's like the whole point of the minors is to get these guys up to the big leagues, and now like, do you really think this is going to make a difference, like for scouting or coaching, where they're like, oh, you stepped out of the box and you weren't in the box, that's some bad character? Like, just what are we doing?
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll see. I think it's honestly all the changes in the minor leagues that aren't in the majors yet are doing more harm than good. And I think you see that with guys like Julio Rodriguez, who have struggled a little bit to start the year. Granted, a lot of his struggles are because he's been getting absolutely shafted at the plate by umpires. Like he had like a bunch of strikeouts looking on strikes that were not near the zone. So like, good on him for having a good eye, but also like his good eye is almost like being not rewarded, because in the minors having like an automatic zone where if it's not a strike, it's not going to be a strike. But now you're in the major league level where it can be 3 inches off the plate and be a strike, or 7 inches off the plate. If Angel Hernandez is behind the plate, it's still a strike.
He's getting that Aaron Judge treatment.
Yeah. So he also hit his first home run this week. So shout out J-Rod.
Crushed his first home run this week.
Oh yeah, it was absolutely blasted. And it's going to be so exciting to watch him hit a ton more of them.
Yeah.
But anyway, enough about the umpires. We all know they're terrible. Let's see what else we got this week. Moving away from, I guess, Major League Baseball as a whole, we'll jump to back down to, I guess, minor leagues. Not even minor leagues. It's an independent MLB partner league. Kelsie Whitmore made her debut, I believe it was yesterday, the 1st of May, with I already forgot the team name.
Fairy Hawks.
Yeah, Staten Island Fairy Hawks.
Thank you. I believe she's the first female player to make her debut at a level that high, like an MLB partner league or something along those lines. The Atlantic League, correct me if I'm wrong there, but I believe that's what it was. Yeah. And so, and I think it's just cool to see. Like, you get we're getting more representation of women in baseball with coaches like Alyssa Nack and GMs like Kim Ng, and now we have Kelsie Whitmore as a player on the field. And then so I think it's just really cool to see, and I hope we get to see more of this continue, more coaches, more players, more front office people and see where it kind of goes. We do have the, I think it's also or not. I guess this is the Yankees. It's just New York, but I think it's a single A affiliate of the Yankees.
Yeah, Tampa.
Yeah, Tampa. Yeah, right.
Yeah, Tarpons.
Yeah, there we go. They have. Oh, I can't remember her name off the top of my head.
Rachel Balkovic.
Thank you.
Gotcha.
The Yankees fan does.
Gotcha.
Yeah, as the manager there, and so yeah, it's just cool to see. And I don't know if you guys have anything to add on to that, but
nah, I mean,
nothing.
Like, if you can play, you can play. And
mm-hmm.
like looking up her track record, she's gold medalist, silver medalist, like baseball players. She's good. Let her play.
She can flat out play.
Yeah, just curious to see how high she can get. If she'll move past this independent league and maybe even make into AA ball and see how she's able to compete there. I would love to see more of it.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
Who knows if we may never see a female in the major leagues in our lifetime, but back when our grandparents were watching baseball, they never thought they'd see like every race playing baseball. So who knows?
No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's good for the game as a whole.
Yeah.
Good for women in baseball, good for anybody who is not sure if they're taking the right path. Like, path doesn't have to be the traditional path. It can be your path and just make the best of it. Like she certainly has. So
for sure.
Yeah.
And then going on from there, still before we jump back up to the major leagues, we'll go to some college ball. Ryan Ramsey out in Maryland threw a perfect game. And I feel like you don't see that a lot in college, and you certainly don't see it a lot in the majors. It's been what
20
10 years?
Yeah, 10 years.
10 years since we've seen one.
Yeah.
What's the craziest thing about that to me is the fact that we got 3 in 1 year. Like that was the most.
It was like 3 in 1 year, and then like a couple years, or maybe even the year before, there were like 2. So it was like 5 in a few year stretch,
and then 10 years without one.
Yeah,
which just shows you like just how rare this thing is. Like, and especially with college baseball, like there are hundreds of games being played a day for college baseball during the season, and that this is the first I've heard of it. And I think.
Yeah,
ever.
I was reading it. I was reading some stats. I don't remember when the most recent one before this was, but it's the 34th in college baseball history, but only 18th. That wasn't like 18th by one pitcher. There have been like another 16 that were combined.
Right.
So,
which is also like crazy.
Yeah. So
I mean, I saw a take on on this perfect game. I think like metal bats and them being kids in general, like just not being as good as major league players, like make it that much harder to actually do.
Yeah.
Because you can hit ball, like just rocket balls to the infield, and it's either A, going to get through because it's so hard, or B, they're going to make an error because they're not that good. Yeah. So to be able to do it in college, I think is crazy impressive.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Also, they're not like as built up for pitch counts that high.
Yeah.
Like I'm curious to look up now the most recent one before this, because it doesn't seem like something that happens a lot. It's only 34 times in the history of college baseball, but every day there's about like a month's worth, like every weekend there's a month's worth of like baseball games being played at the college level.
Last one, 2019.
2019.
Really? That recently?
Jake Kuchmaner against Maryland.
Of course it is.
Damn.
Baseball's poetic, if anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, I think the pitch count thing especially is, I think, where I come from, the angle I like to think about it from. Because, like, it's extremely impressive because you don't have college arms ready to throw 120 pitches.
Yeah. And they're still perfecting their craft. Like, they're trying to get it. I think the pitcher that was pitching was, like, a Sunday starter, which, if you don't know college baseball, like, that's usually your number 3 starter. And he made it on his first Friday start. That's how well he had been pitching all year. But he took advantage of the big stage.
Plus, they have it so, like, scheduled out with, like, every Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's, like, the same guys going all the time. So, like, they're so meticulous on pitch counts and when guys are going to throw. So, like...
Which is crazy because he had his schedule moved up 2 days and then threw his first perfect game.
It just makes it more impressive. Right?
Yeah.
I would hate to be that Friday guy, huh?
I know, right? You're not getting your job back.
Lost.
Yeah, but shout out Ryan Ramsey, the
Yeah.
pitcher who did it, just because it's an impressive feat nonetheless, and I'm sure it's not the last time we'll hear his name.
Yeah.
Just because you throw a perfect game in college, it's going to get you looks when you're ready to get drafted. Like, no matter how good, even if it's an outlier, like you did this, if we can replicate what you did on this one day with this one start, you're going to be a major league arm. And you know that's how teams are looking at it. So,
Yeah.
But I guess we'll go back up, staying back up to the major leagues, sticking on this track. We had a combined no-hitter this week, a little less exciting than a perfect game. And but as much as we hate talking about the Phillies, we do like preying on their downfall. But they're the ones who, with this high-powered offense, couldn't muster a hit against the New York Mets. This has only happened a few days ago on Friday the 29th of April. It was Taylor McGill, Drew Smith, Joely Rodriguez, Seth Lugo, Edwin Diaz. Combined 9 innings, no hits, 6 walks. So
159 pitches.
Yeah, I lost. I had that on here at some point. I was looking for it. But, 159 pitches. But, hey, no-hitters are cool. I mean, they're not as exciting as perfect games, but they're still cool. And I guess the thing that kind of surrounds this is, A, what's up with Phillies bats, first of all? B, are combined no-hitters something that excite you still or not? Because I've seen that floating around a lot this week. You're like, it's a combined no-hitter. Who cares? Even internally here at Diamond Digest, we've had some of our writers like, yeah, combined no-hitters don't do it for me. They're like, it's just cool. You threw a baseball for an inning, you didn't give up a hit. So you can do that all the time. But I don't know. I'll turn this over to you guys. What is? We'll stick with that bit. What is as a combined no-hitter? Is that still as exciting for you, or is it just not do it for you anymore?
I mean, as a whole, like the whole concept of it, I think is cool. And I think it's cooler than a regular no-hitter just because every guy has to be on. And it's like it just takes one guy to mess that up for the whole thing to go away. But then I also see the point of like, yeah, you just like most of these closers are doing their job like of just not letting up a hit. And it's more on the starter. That's more impressive. But at the same time, like when one guy goes no hit, it's like, it's pretty impressive that he makes it through the third time in the order when like that's usually when guys blow up. So, I mean, I could see both sides, but.
Right.
Yeah, I'm usually on the side that's like, it ain't shit, but it's the Mets. And I can be like, yeah, that was exciting. Go retweet it about 1,000 times. So, I mean, I definitely see both sides of the argument. I understand why it's exciting. It's always cool to have a no-hitter. It's really the peak of perfection, especially against a team that built their offense around hitting and didn't really care about anything else whatsoever. But at the same time, like the most impressive thing was Drew Smith throwing 20-something pitches, striking out the side, and then coming back. And I think it was he struck out Castellanos or Harper to start the next inning. So
36 pitches,
he
4
ended
strikeouts, and 1
he ended at 36, but he like came out after a 30-pitch inning to strike out. I think it was either Castellanos or Harper. So, like Diaz was filthy, but it's a bunch of guys going and getting their 1 inning. It took 4 more pitchers to go 4 more innings. They walked a bunch of batters. They threw the most pitches in no-hitter. It wasn't like they were exactly sharp.
Right.
And as much as I was like, this is awesome, it's only the second time in franchise history that there's been a no-hitter thrown, I definitely see why people are like, this wasn't anything. And usually I would be on that side also, unless like it was like a close game, it was a true pitcher's duel. Maybe it was only like an error or a walk that ruined it, and they got pulled from that. So the fact that their starter McGill only went 5 innings, I think he only had like 5 or 6 strikeouts, walked another 4. it's impressive, but at the same time, it's not as impressive as it can be.
I mean, this is the way baseball's going now too, with like these
Yeah,
starting pitchers just not going the distance anymore. Like, there's going to come a point when we're watching and it's like combined no hitters are what we used to think as like no hitters when
Yeah.
guys would go 9 innings, and it's just like we'll never see that again at some point.
and I'm curious as to how the discourse would have been if this wasn't the first like no hitter of the season, and if like the Dodgers were able to pull through for Kershaw and had a combined perfect game or even a combined no hitter there, because I feel like it would have been a very different story based off Kershaw absolutely dominating. Whereas here, McGill was great. He didn't give up a hit, but he wasn't like super sharp. And he only went 5 innings.
I mean,
Just
you also have to
off the elbow.
remember. Yeah. Like, remember when the Padres starters started the first 2 starts of the season, 13 combined no-hit innings between the 2 starters, and then as soon as you pull them, immediately giving up a hit. Like, that's what happened in both cases. I think it was it Darvish and Manaea, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
I believe so. Or no, it wasn't Musgrove.
No, Musgrove's are 3.
Yeah.
He threw one by himself.
Yeah, Musgrove got one. But, like, when you said, I completely forgot about the fact that this is only the second no-hitter in Mets history, right?
Yeah.
After Nohan.
Nohan.
I remember watching that game. That was before I was even like a huge baseball fan in general, and I was like, this is electric. I love everything about this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like because I mean, as a Giants fan, growing up, I saw a no-hitter or perfect game in like 4 or 5 consecutive seasons. Like, it was almost like expected at least one a year for a while. I think the last one the Giants had was Chris Heston threw a no-hitter against the Mets and had like 7 base runners, something like that.
Yeah.
It was not a good game, but it was a no-hitter nonetheless. And I know the name Chris Heston because of it.
That's why I know his name. I remember that.
Yeah.
I mean, that brings me to I saw something when Nestor Cortez threw an immaculate inning. Do you guys think that's more impressive than a perfect game?
Yes. Not that perfect game.
Not a perfect game.
Not a perfect game. But a combined no-hitter, yeah.
Immaculate inning, I will say that.
Versus a regular no-hitter, 9 innings.
A regular no-hitter off like one pitcher, 9 innings, or an immaculate inning.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I think that's tough because like both are super cool. I really like immaculate innings, but like you have what is it? If you have 15 games a day, 9 I guess 18 half innings. You have that many chances, 15 times 18 at minimum, and usually.
I think that just shows like how much more impressive it is that there's that many opportunities and it like never happens.
Right, like, and it's either that or the fact that it's impressive, but also like anyone can do it kind of thing. Because you can like Nestor Cortez isn't exactly the upper echelon of pitchers in baseball today. Nestor, he's nasty Nestor. He's earned that nickname. But like, it's cool. I really like immaculate innings. I'm a big fan. I always, whenever there's like 2 strikeouts on 6 pitches, I'm watching intently.
I think the hardest part of an immaculate inning is that you can have a 3 strikeout inning, 15 pitches that are all strikes, but that's not an immaculate. You could throw 15 strikes and have strike out the side, and that's not an immaculate inning because just a bunch of foul balls in a row. So
and umpires can ruin immaculate innings. I've watched umpires ruin immaculate innings,
and it's like one pitch and like it's ruined. Where you can have no hitters and like.
I mean, one pitch is ruined too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going back to the Mets like no hitter, I think that like I was following along with the game. I actually wasn't watching that game, even though I probably should have been. The 6th through 8th innings were like everyone was like, "Oh, it's going to be blown. Why are we following this closely?" When it got to the 9th, is when people were like engaged and excited in the possibility of there actually being a no hitter. So I think that's also a lot of the energy when it comes to no hitters, to combine no hitters, where it's like it's just gonna get ruined. Like when you get to the 9th, it's exciting, but like those middle innings are painful to watch.
Plus, like you wouldn't if you saw Seth Lugo out in the 8th inning, you're not gonna be like, "Damn, they might have a no hitter going right now." It's like, that's
exactly.
Normal.
Yeah, so
again, I think you're definitely right. As far as combined no hitters go, I think a no hitter is a no hitter. It's an incredible accomplishment. It's only been there's a lot more. There's how many no-hitters in history? I think there's
one.
Bunch.
Yeah, a bunch.
How much? Yeah,
A bunch.
I thought the number was in the 300s, honestly.
315.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. Like I thought it was in the low 300s, but but 315. But considering how long bases been around, insane. That's also the kind of argument you make with the immaculate innings and all that. But a no-hitter still 315 times. Like, that's cool. That's awesome. Combined or not, I think a single pitcher doing it is still way cooler than a combined no-hitter. But a no-hitter is a no-hitter. Incredible accomplishment nonetheless. But I understand where the other side of the argument comes from. It's like, it's a combined no-hitter. Who cares?
Yeah.
I can see both sides.
Except that there's been more perfect games than combined no-hitters. So,
yeah. No, I mean, you also remember a lot of these no-hitters came when, like, the guys with, like, ridiculous names are throwing 500 innings a year. Like, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough talking about the Mets. I think we're done talking about the Mets. No, we're not. We have one more thing about the Mets. Actually, we have two more things about the Mets. I lied. It
was a big Mets week.
Yeah, it was a big Mets week for some reason.
Oh, my God. Jeff McNeil laying down a bunt. What a nerd.
Anyway, this week we got the first, I think it's the first of the year, kind of big brawl of the season between the Mets and the Cardinals, when it was Nolan Arenado took quite the exception of getting thrown high and in several times, and after I think it was several hit by pitches going both ways, if I remember correctly.
He was never Arenado was not hit.
Yeah, I know, but
Alonso took one in the ankle, and then he got one a little high.
Yeah, was that all that happened?
I think there was a Cardinal that was hit, but I don't remember.
Chris Bassett also was like, "Yeah, we can't hold on to the balls," and then I forget which Cardinal pitcher was like, "That sucks."
It was Miles Michaelis.
Yeah, just be better.
Yeah. Except Michaelis hit like two batters in that game, and Bassett hit none. So.
But either way, it resulted in suspensions, though. Arenado got 2 games, right?
Arenado got 2.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't care less about the Mets, so I don't know if they got.
The Mets did not have. Showalter and Lopez got fined, but Lopez actually just got suspended for throwing at Schwarber in a different series.
Okay, but yeah.
And Showalter was suspended also for that.
Right, I do remember that.
Yeah.
I guess that kind of takes us around to the whole thing is, like, I mean, should this even have happened? I mean, like, hit by pitches happen. It didn't seem like any of them were intentional. I could be wrong about that. I didn't watch it super closely or anything, but like, what is to become of this? Because it did result in some suspensions and fines. So,
I mean, I feel like the talking that went on was the worst part, where it's like the Mets have by far been hit by the most of any team so far, and it's like the frustration of that just always sucks. And then your pitcher saying like, yeah, it's hard to get a grip, so he like kind of understands, and then for the other pitcher to be like, nah, that's not it, and then get hit again, it's like that's like a slap in the face of like, oh, you say it's not hard, and then you just keep hitting our guys, well, like something's up. And I mean, as a whole, like hitting guys for like reasons like that, I think is the dumbest thing in the world. Or like when a hitter bat flips and then you hit him the next time, I think it is the stupidest thing ever. Like, you're just giving away free bases because you're mad, and it's just so soft. But
I'm going to try to not sound 100% biased here.
What, Jonah, the Mets fan bias? What?
Never.
Yeah, this is a hard position to be put in, because not necessarily with the Cardinals series. So what happened with the Cardinals game with Arenado? Yeah, that pitch was high and in. It was high and in, but it wasn't like anywhere near his face. If you watch the pitch again, Arenado took exception to a pitch that was definitely aimed to scare him off and to make a point. but he hit his spot like perfectly, and it was nowhere near Arenado's face. So that got blown out of proportion. Do I think Lopez intentionally threw at Schwarber last night? Yeah. The Mets have every right to be frustrated. They've been hit 20 times. I think 3 or 4 times above the neck already this season. So, but in general, retaliation, like, should not be a thing. If you want to throw one high and in and but high but not in, or in but not high, and not hit the batter, I can get behind that. But just be like, this was not cool. You can't keep getting away with this. But we shouldn't be throwing at batters. It's unsportsmanlike. It's giving away a free base. It will lead to suspensions, it's a dumb reason to miss games.
Yeah.
Like, you have every right to be mad that your players are getting hit 20 times in the first 20 games.
It's
but
like, no matter what happens, if you're second, like, you look like an idiot.
Yeah.
Where it's like, if one of your guys gets hit, now you're going to hit him back to even it out. Like, you have the advantage. You got a free base out of it. And why do you need to send a message? Or it's like, nobody got warned, and then you throw at someone, now you get suspended and get fined. Like, if you do it second, you look like an idiot. And there's just, I can't see the reason why they do this.
Yeah, I mean, I think it all surrounds kind of the whole unwritten rule things. It's a discussion for another time.
Yeah.
Discussion we've had plenty of times, but yeah, it's like there's no need for it. I mean, yes, getting hit 20 times, 20 games, frustrating. Frustration builds and sometimes overpours, but that's not what happened here. It just seemed like a little, just you're crying for nothing. Like, just
and Bassett's not wrong. The balls are slippery.
I forgot which time it was in one of the Met. I think it had to have been. It must have been last night, where I was like, that pitch clearly got away from him, and it wasn't intentional. It was an 0-2 pitch that I forgot who got hit, but one of the Mets got hit. It was number 20 or 21. You can tell that some of these pitches are getting away and they're not intentional. Even if you get hit by the face, you shouldn't be retaliating on pitches that are clearly just slipping away.
Yeah. Like, when guys are getting hit with the 75 mile per hour curveball, if you're gonna throw at something, you're not throwing at 75 mile per hour curveball at it.
Or on an 0-2 count, even if it's a fastball, an 0-2 count, that's what happened the other night. It clearly got away.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. We're just play baseball, please. I just want just get through games.
Just shut up.
I love the energy, but it's dumb. I love the energy, but it's dumb.
I get where it comes from historically, but it's with the game's changing, change with it.
It doesn't matter.
Anyway, hopefully the last bit of talking points about the Mets. Rosters got cut down. I think it was today, maybe yesterday. Rosters got cut down to 26. They were previously at 28, so 2 guys from each team cut, sent down, something along the sort. The biggest names gone today. Travis Shaw, I think, was he cut by the Red Sox? Yes,
he was cut a couple of days ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Either
he refused assignment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Travis Shaw gone, and then Robinson Cano out of New York.
Bye. Finally.
Great day for Mets fans.
But yeah, the Mets.
I've been against that trade for 2 years. Not happy we still have to pay his contract, but
this contract is wild. 10 years, $240 million at age 31.
Yeah.
Got the Yankees fan and the Mets fan agreeing?
This is, we had to pay Jacoby Ellsbury. God, we didn't have money for no reason. So, this is horrible.
Yeah. Y'all think Cano catches on anywhere else? Do you think it's over?
Journeyman.
They won't have to pay him anything, so I can see him getting a platoon role somewhere, or a leadership role, maybe back in Seattle. I could very much see him signing a one-day contract at the end of the season with New York to retire there. There's a couple of scenarios I can see him, but I think they'd have to pay him $700,000, which honestly, if I were a Mets fan, maybe I would consider. Just not the $40.5 million that they owe him.
Yeah,
Right.
He'll get somewhere. I mean,
Yeah, it will be a Pujols situation.
yeah.
But I mean, I think it depends on how badly he wants to play. Because I'm sure a team like Cincinnati would love to have a Robinson Cano right now. Like, have anyone to bring any
I don't
notoriety.
think Robinson Cano wants to have a Reds uniform on.
Right, but if it's the only team that offers a contract and he still wants to play bad enough, I don't think they do.
I don't think he wants to play that bad. Like, not even just the Reds, but like if you told him like, hey, this is it, like I think he'll be more than okay.
Right, but if a team like the Dodgers or the Angels or a team that's in this playoff fund that's expected to be a playoff team reaches out to him and is like, hey, we want you in our dugout, we want you in our clubhouse. Do you want to come join us? Are you ready for this? I think he's jumping all over that.
I mean, he's a better defender than Gleber, right? Right, Joe?
Stop. I'd rather a traffic cone out there. Should never let Tyler Wade go or Squid.
Tyler Wade's a giant now. I learned that yesterday.
I just learned that now.
No, not to. Sorry, I'm thinking about Mike Ford.
I was gonna say,
Tyler Wade.
He sucks.
Mike Ford.
Yeah, I heard Greg Bird's name the other day.
Yeah. Isn't he back on the Yankees?
Sadly,
Tyler Wade is definitely an angel. So
yeah, he is an angel. He's so fast.
I did not know Mike Ford was a giant until yesterday when he played, because half our lineups on the IL, but it's whatever. But all right, so moving on, kind of from the Mets. Hopefully we're done with that. We'll jump over kind of to Texas. Not that we talked about Texas previously, but we are now. Willie Calhoun, he wants out. Previous top 100 prospect, I think he got as high as 34 on MLB Pipeline. He got recently demoted to AAA and playing for a team like Texas, who is not good this year. He's not getting at bats. He wants a chance to play somewhere else. And so I don't know what's going to come of it or if anything's going to come of it. But it's another guy that's like, hey, I want out of a situation where I'm not getting playing time. I want a chance to prove myself, all that kind of jazz. So I guess the question is this: where's he going? What's the trade package maybe look like for him? It's not an easy question.
Yeah,
he's been awful this year in the majors. I think he's got a negative 1.5 WAR in his career.
But he has the tools to put it together.
Yes, he has this raw talent.
Like, I feel like he's always been like a platoon guy that, like, when he's got his matchup, he can go 3 for 3 with a homer and like a couple of extra base hits. Mm-hmm. I can very much see like a team offering like their like number 15 to 20 prospect for him in a 1-for-1 kind of situation. But I don't know. I think there are teams that are going to bite on him, but I don't know if it'll ever pan out kind of thing. So it might be him being in this situation forever. I don't see him getting back to a starter role anytime soon, which is what it sounds like he wants. So I think he'll be frustrated anywhere.
I mean, he's 27 too, and like he's not that good defensively.
Yeah, he's not young anymore.
Like you said, I think it's either like a platoon thing or some team that they think they have the fix for him. And like the Rangers are just kind of willing to take whatever at this point because they know they're not going to play him.
Yeah.
So at least he's not making guys pick up the phone and call and offer a trade, but it's like
can join Cano on the Reds.
Yeah, whoever can give him the best scraps, like yours.
Yeah, I think if he's going to go anywhere else, I think Tampa would take a chance on him because historically they know how to develop guys. The Dodgers, I can see. Granted, he ended up in Texas via the Dodgers. He was in the Darvish trade.
The thing is, I can't see those good teams that can develop guys. Like, I think they would rather take a flyer on their own guys who are 4 years younger.
Especially
try to fix Willie Calhoun.
Yeah, especially because those teams that you mentioned have depth at the positions that Calhoun plays.
Yeah.
Like, they're not trying to go on there. I can see, like, maybe a team that's trying to just, like, play and plug some players while they rebuild, taking a shot at him. But I don't see any contenders taking a shot at him this year unless they plan on keeping him in the minors all year.
Which isn't what he wants. That's why he wants Texas.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. And like you said, defensively, he's not exactly amazing. So he's really kind of built for that DH role, if anything, or a platoon kind of guy. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants try to go and get him, just because a 27-year-old former top 50 prospect, that's got Farhan Zahidi written all over it.
Some contenders going to get they're going to be pretty close at the deadline. They're going to be injured, and they're going to call the Rangers and be like, "Here you go.
We'll give you international money or something."
I was going to say they're going to give I think Perez is still on the team, so Perez and Calhoun for some prospects.
Too many people. They'll just.
I think Calhoun might be an add-in at the deadline.
Yeah, he might be a throw-in.
Because
that's
now
what I was
when
trying
you
to
say
say.
I don't want to play, it's all right, if we don't get what we want for you, you're just gonna rot in the minors.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, speaking about rotting, Trevor Bauer was suspended by Major League Baseball for 2 years without pay. That was the best transition I could get for this.
No, that was amazing.
That was phenomenal.
Suspended for 2 years by Major League Baseball for his ongoing incidents with multiple women coming out and saying hey, he's doing things that are related to domestic abuse, domestic violence. Bauer is a piece of human trash who should be banned from baseball forever. That being said, it's only 2 years without pay. I believe it affects the Dodgers' payroll. And he's trying to fight it because, of course, he is. In 2 years, he'll be what, 32? 33? He's not exactly going to be young. He'll also be 2 years removed, 2.5 years removed for Major League Baseball games. So
he'll be 33 in 2 years.
33? Okay. So I guess how does this affect the Dodgers moving forward? Do we maybe see him back in the league after those 2 years are over? How does this look for other guys like Marcell Ozuna, who also had previous allegations against him, but I think he actually – the circumstances weren't exactly the same. They were different. Ozuna is playing in the league again. Bauer is not. Granted, I believe neither of them should be, but Ozuna is playing baseball for the Braves. But how does this affect the Dodgers, the league as a whole? Do we see him back?
Definitely not with the Dodgers because Dave Roberts, before this even all started, was he's never going to play in a uniform for us again. So
the Dodgers clubhouse hates him.
Yeah, the Dodgers have pretty much moved
and
on.
His contract will be done by then anyway.
Yeah, and they're getting off the hook with a lot of money. So the Dodgers are kind of out of mind for them. But like you said, Ozuna and the closer for the Astros a couple of years ago, I forget.
I think it's also
Ozuna, maybe.
Yeah, it was Ozuna and Ozuna. Yeah,
yeah, Roberto Ozuna and then Marcell Ozuna.
For these guys to come back with pretty similar allegations, I don't want to say hope because it's a shitty word, but there is possibility that he is going to come back.
I like the way you phrase that.
And it's it sucks. And with how good he was and how much he advertises himself, we know he's good, but the team that's going to take him, they're going to get a little bit of backlash at the time. And then it's you're getting a Cy Young caliber pitcher, which sucks that's the MLB rules. But I think
3 years removed from the Cy Young award at that point.
Yeah, that's so true. And who knows?
From a Mickey Mouse Cy Young.
Yeah.
Also true.
And we know he's going to be working out in the off season. He is going to plan for a comeback. So he's going to be pretty close to just not game ready. But I don't know, in a few years, I think someone ends up just dealing with it for
taking the flyer anyway
and just going for it.
I mean,
shitty as it sounds.
The way I see it is, it's a 2-year suspension. I think there's a very high chance that he never pitches in the majors again, because he was on administrative leave for like a year and a half now already, almost. It's a 2-year suspension, but he got another allegation for sexual assault literally like the day after he got his suspension.
It's multiple women.
Yeah, it's multiple women. I can see these keep coming in and that suspension getting pushed off, or this cycle repeating himself. I personally believe he should never pitch in the majors again. Although I will say I would also believe that it would be poetic justice if he came into the majors, pitched like 4 games with a 12 ERA and got DFA'd, because I would love that.
He's absolutely shelled.
Yeah, I would love for him to get absolutely shelled.
And I think like the kind of person he is, that like if he somehow beats all this and like serves his time and is fully cleared by the MLB, that like he's the type of person to like shove it to Manfred and be like, I'm back. And play in a game versus like kind of hang him up after all this. Like, he would keep the theatrics going. He would film everything, and like he would make it a big spectacle, because that's just who he is.
But I could see him very well getting another suspension on top of this in the future and never playing again. As for Ozuna, I know that the allegations were different. It was domestic violence versus sexual abuse, both equally as bad. I don't remember exactly what like the investigative outcome was legally, but I don't believe Ozuna should be back. I honestly kind of forgot about Ozuna until I saw him when getting ready for fantasy baseball this year. I honestly thought he was still out of the league, and I think that if you do such a heinous crime that warrants such an investigation, unless you're cleared with like 100% evidence that you are innocent, you should never be able to play in any professional sport again.
Professional sports have minimal rules, sadly.
True.
Yeah, there should be harsher punishments, as in be gone from the league forever. But unfortunately, that's not the world we live in. It's just, Trevor Bauer is a horrible human being. We do not like Trevor Bauer. We do not support anything that he does. He's just, and the fact that what he's doing is still all of his social media still making a spectacle of it. Like, it's just, you have to be just a horrific human to just like do what he's doing now. Like, just making the points that he is. I'm like, God, I hate him.
All my homies hate Trevor Bauer.
True.
Yes.
Anyway, now that I'd rather, forget about Trevor Bauer's existence, we'll jump to another thing in baseball that was, I guess, long awaited here, was the Yankees Letter. The Yankees Letter ended up, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, was a whole lot of nothing, which I think might be a direct quote from Jeff Passan. He said something along the sorts. But it was just the Yankees being like, hey, everyone's cheating. We're not special. The Yankees aren't special, but like I don't know. I feel like it didn't live up to all this hype that it was supposed to. And like I don't know.
The way I think of it, and I can't even think of a good comparison, but it's just like if you're in school and you catch someone like doing something and you snitch on them, and the teacher like finds out, they're like, wow, thank you so much, and you get a whole party, and then it's like, oh, you know what, while I'm at it, like he does this too, and they go and investigate it. It's like, it's not that bad. And it's like, it's just the league like reaching for, well, we took down these 2 powerhouses, let's try and go to another. And then once they figure out what they were doing, it's like, all right, let's back it off because everyone's doing this. And it's like, they're just reaching now. And it's like, you proved your point with the Red Sox, you proved your point with the Astros as poorly as they did. Like, what are you going to get out of this?
Because we're several years removed from it at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like the NFL, like the Jets and the Patriots, like tape and practice. Like, everyone's doing it. And you're just reaching for something that's not there.
It was well known that every team was doing it. Like, and if you weren't, it's like you were losing.
The Mets, Cabrera, where he's like, everyone's taking notes on pen and paper, and I use
everyone is doing
now. Like, you're reaching.
Everyone is doing it. Joe, I'm not like around. Like, I don't follow a bunch of Yankees fan base. Did it change any perception of 2017?
That's actually a good question.
No.
I have the word Yankees muted on Twitter.
I can.
Astros are still cheaters.
Oh, always. But it's just like there's like the crazy fans who are like, oh, we would have won this and that if this, like, first of all, no. And it's like I listened to a Joe West podcast and they were like, did you know, like, could you hear it going on? And he's like, yeah, but what were we going to do about it? Like, we couldn't stop it. Like,
it's true.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hear it going on, but I can't do anything. And it's like, if the players knew what was going on, which they all said they did, they would have done something. And like the White Sox pitcher who steps off and he's like, all right, we got to change our signs because we hear something. Like, there should have been more of that versus like in hindsight, damn, we got cheated. And it's like, yeah, it sucks, but like you all heard it.
Yeah.
You were there. You heard it better than anyone else. And like you couldn't do anything. I mean, it sucks the way the Yankees have been recently. That has very minimal effect on us winning. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the weird thing to me anyway was the fact that I think it was the Yankees were like, we don't want this getting out, and it was literally nothing. Yeah. Like, why? What about that do you not want getting out? Like the admission of guilt that literally every team could fess up to as well. Like, I don't understand what that was about.
Well, MLB and Manfred, they were like, this, like, we have information that's gonna ruin I forget the exact wording. It was like ruin the history and reputation of a bunch of teams. And then they came out they hyped it up like way more than it was. And then they came out with it. It's like, damn.
They came out with something we all already knew.
Yeah.
Like, this is how you're gonna ruin reputations.
The only thing you're ruining is the way you hype stuff up in the future. Like,
yeah.
But I mean, it was worth talking about because it was made up to be this big deal that fell so flat on its face that was almost comical from Major League Baseball itself.
I'm more upset about Judge not winning Rookie of the Year Altuve than I am
honestly
winning World Series.
Reasonable.
Because it's half that and it's half where they didn't give it to him because he was so young and they're just like, he's going to win MVP at some point.
And then he hasn't.
Not going to happen.
Yeah, he should have been MVP that year.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll move on to kind of our last point that we have here. Ending on a much higher note than just nothing Yankees letter. Ronald Acuna Jr. back. Made his debut this year after being injured for a hot minute. And he's looking good. It doesn't look like he's missed a step. And, guys like Acuna are good for the game. And so, I mean, I don't know if there's much to talk about besides the fact that he's entering a Braves team that I believe is under 500.
Yep.
And how much does that shift, I guess, the Braves going forward now that they have their superstar back?
I think, like, from what I've seen so far, it's less that when they struggle, it's like, damn, we're missing Acuna in this lineup, and it's like, the guys we already have aren't producing. Like Dansby Swanson is off to like a horrendous start. And it's like, Acuna is always going to help you, but it's like Jock Peterson's gone. Acuna is back now. Like the team's just different and that bullpen's not going to be the same, I feel. And I don't know. It always helps. It's never going to hurt him to have him, but him missing was not the issue.
It will definitely help, but that offense hasn't been consistent. A lot of their big bats have not had good starts to the season, so it could help a lot. It will definitely help their defense, but I don't think it will push them back over the edge. Although, as I said last week, I know the Braves are going to go off on a crazy tear in June and July, so we'll see what happens. I will say he tore his ACL and is back between Jacob DeGrom starts, so. Very frustrating.
It sucks that DeGrom can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
The Braves are really underperforming, and both the Mets and the Marlins are overperforming. And I feel like as you just get closer to the end of the year, like it's going to be a tighter race than normal, but like we're going to get to that point where it gets tight.
Things will level out.
Yeah.
Hopefully the Mets take at least 2 of 3 from the Braves this week.
Hopefully the Mets don't Mets it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, too much PTSD there.
All right. Well, that's all we had planned. Is there anything else that you guys thought of throughout this recording that you might want to throw out at all to talk about?
I'm excited to watch the Buxton MVP tour.
Buxton's been great.
Yeah. MVP tour all year long.
Joe,
Yanks are
anything?
back. We're back, baby.
Okay, I can like just erase you from this. I have that power. I can. I did it last week or 2 weeks ago. Whenever I hosted this last. Either way, I think that's gonna do it for us here. Thank you for listening. And if you don't know where to find us, how'd you get here? But if you would like to be reminded of where to find us, you can find us at diamond-digest.com, on Twitter at diamond_digest, and Instagram at diamond.digest. They are now playing at the bottom of the screen here if you're watching on YouTube. You can also find us on YouTube at Diamond Digest. Crazy how that works. We're very consistent in naming all our stuff here. But thank you for listening. We'll be back in weeks to come with more baseball to come, and baseball's back, and we're just enjoying the ride. So if you want to follow any of us on Twitter, Joe's a Yankees fan, Jonah's a Mets fan, I am a Giants fan. I throw out a lot of Giants stuff. I'm not sure about these two, how much they throw out in respect to their teams. But if you guys want to
slander Joey Gallo,
I try.
You can always tell when I'm watching a game because I will tweet about it. Like, I'll have a chunk of like 50 tweets in like the 2 or 3 hour span of me watching the game, and half of them are just about Tyler Estrada getting RBIs, but that's beside the point. But that will do it for us here. For Joe, Jonah, and myself, Diego, thank you for listening. Come back next week. Come back every week. Enjoy all of our content. We put out articles all the time. If you haven't played Wendell, it's our Wordle, baseball version of Wordle. We put that out every day. We're approaching, I believe, 70. So when they're retroactive, you can go and play all 60-something there are. So, but thank you for listening, and we will catch you next time. And as always, go baseball.
Go baseball.